Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check the link to my Patreon page above. So I'm back with round 2 of this Modern Friendly League. I won the die roll again. And, well, this opening hand has creatures and lands that can cast creatures, so I feel pretty good about this. Kira is obviously a little bit awkward. But we should have a little bit of time to draw lands. It's a keep for me. So I'll run out Cavern and Cursecatcher. Opponent kept as well, so let's see how it goes. Okay. So we see Eiganjo Castle. So this is a legendary land that can prevent 2 damage to a legendary creature. Looks like mono white, Death and Taxes. Now, the thing that makes me wary of is I don't know how these decks are doing these days, but or what their tech is. But the last time I ran into them, I'm pretty sure they were like main decking Dusk to Dawn, which gets rid of all creatures power 3 or greater, which means as soon as we play a single Lord, we're pretty much susceptible to a one-sided board wipe. So I was going to be a little bit careful playing around the point when they get to 4 mana. So I drew an island, which was extremely well timed. That means we're 1 land closer to getting to Master of Waves, and we're going to be able to play this Kira if we name Spirit with Cavern of Souls. So I think this turn we want to play the island, play a Harbinger for no value, but that just leads us towards a huge amount of devotion for Master of Waves, and Kira will also protect the Master of Waves. So let's go ahead and run out Harbinger. No attacks to be had. Opponent plays a Plains and a Thalia. Now we've got no non-creature spells to play, so Thalia not really doing anything against us. I drew an Island Walk Lord for the turn, but I think I go ahead and name Spirit and run out Kira. That's going to protect my team from any removal they might have, and also set me up for a beautiful Master of Waves. Note that without any Lords on the table, Master of Waves totally safe against Dusk to Dawn, if that is in fact in the opponent's deck. Okay, looks like they like attacks with Thalia, which is going to make Harbinger live next turn if we don't draw land. Eldrazi Temple. Alright, so I think I know what's coming. Yep, it's the Thought-Knot Seer, which means that they're almost definitely not running Dusk to Dawn because they don't want to kill their own Thought-Knot Seer. So this is actually mono-white Eldrazi and Taxes. Pretty rare deck, actually. The opponent got to see my hand, and they got rid of the Master of Waves, which is a little bit annoying, but I drew another Island Walk Lord, which is solid. I think at this point, I'm just going to attack with Kira, and then maybe bounce the Thalia. Alright, just a little bit of a tempo play. Opponent getting aggressive with the Thought-Knot Seer. I might like the double block here. We lose 2 of our creatures, but we get to draw a card. We'd like to hit another land, play both of these Island Walk Lords out. So I'll go ahead and double block here. So in the end, I get a card back. So lost a card, gained a card. I'm getting 2 for 1 with blocking with Harbingers against the Thought-Knot Seer. But that's okay, because if you compare our boards, you know, I sort of look okay, I think. Is this another Thought-Knot Seer? It is. Tough call here, I think, on the opponent's side. They chose to take a Lord. I guess makes sense, but Silvergill is so good. I'm going to lead with the Silvergill. I drew a land, which means that no matter what, I'm going to be able to play this Master of the Pearl Trident. And I drew a Mutavault, but that's not going to help us cast anything, so I'll go ahead and swing with Kira, keep getting in for damage. And playing this Lord will give us decent blocks against this other Thought-Knot if they want to get in. Though they may have learned their lesson the first time. I don't know if that attack was actually really good for them. Alright, here's that Thalia that we bounced earlier. A Tectonic Edge. Unfortunate since I have Mutavault in hand. I'd rather them not be able to Tech Edge my Mutavault. Another land, not amazing, but we get to keep chipping in with Kira. All right, play the Mutavault and pass to the opponent. What's happening here? Okay, they're just going to crack their clue that they got from the Thraben Inspector. And during the opponent's upkeep, I'm going to activate Mutavault. Just in case they drew something that would inform their plan and make them realize that they wanted to tech edge my Mutavault while they had a chance. This way, I get to put Kira's shield on Mutavault. Oh, and there's a Ghost Quarter. Maybe they drew that for the turn. AEther Vial, the opponent's paying 2 because of Thalia. And still doesn't have any good attacks. Now, Ghost Quarter is really annoying because it means that they can keep me off of Island Walk. Whereas Tectonic Edge says they can only destroy a non-basic land. If I target a plains with Tectonic Edge, they can't destroy their own plains with Tectonic Edge. They need Ghost Quarter to do that. I'm not unhappy to draw another Island Walk Lord. Now, the opponent has 4 mana up with 3 cards in hand, and you have to be careful against these white decks. You have to play around Restoration Angel. So I think I'm going to activate Mutavault since Kira has my back, and I could swing with Mutavault as a 4/4. Okay, in response, the opponent's going to tech edge his Mutavault. So unfortunately, didn't get to activate him in attack this turn. And since they went to the trouble of tech edging the Mutavault, they no longer have 4 mana up, which means that I can comfortably attack with Kira. And looks like I decided to get frisky with the Silvergill Adept as well. Now, yeah, if the opponent wants to block the Silvergill, it's not going to be great for them. So it's a good attack. I think the opponent thought and thought again about these blocks. Looks like they really want to get rid of this Silvergill. It's kind of curious, actually. First Strike is not going to deal with the Silvergill, so I'll be able to get rid of 2 of their creatures. The opponent's going to take 2 from the Kira. And yeah, that was really good for us. The opponent does have this AEther Vial on the board. They played another land. What's happening here? Another Thalia. So that would explain, I guess, why they blocked with the other one. Okay, not getting in with Thought-Knot. Now, 2 Lords is great against Thought-Knot because they can only assign 3 to kill 1, and then the other 1 point of damage won't kill the other Lord. So essentially, if somebody attacks with a Thought-Knot Seer into 2 Lords, especially if we've got Kira up, preventing any blowouts with removal, then the opponent can't really get in with the Thought-Knot against that. Creatures are better than non-creatures at this point, but Cursecatcher is our weakest creature there. So again, leaving 4 mana up, so I'm just going to play the Cursecatcher and pass the turn. Opponent probably unhappy about that. Looks like they're starting to tap their mana. Yep, not going to eat my Kira with Restoration Angel. Now at this point, if they blink the Thought-Knot Seer, that's great for us because I have nothing they can take out of my hand. But if I do get that Thought-Knot off the table, then I'll be able to... Okay, so this is pretty cool actually, because when Restoration Angel bounces Thought-Knot Seer, it goes away from the battlefield and I get to draw a card, and I drew another land, which means that it's just straight value from the Thought-Knot. He can't take either of those. But if I do get him off the battlefield, I draw another card off of him. So that Restoration Angel potentially a problem. I can't attack with the Kira anymore, and I don't have Island Walk. Okay. So now it's really top deck mode. The opponent plays Arbiter and no attacks. Spreading Seas is decent. It'll hopefully let me draw a card, but the opponent does have that Ghost Quarter up. Alright, so I'm going to target the Eldrazi Temple, try to take them off of colorless mana, which would, in theory, make it harder to get these Thought-Knots onto the board, but they do have an AEther Vial here. So they're going to Ghost Quarter in response. Looks like they didn't get another Plains. It might have been a misclick by the opponent, I'm not sure. I drew another land, I think, off of my... Oh, no, I didn't even get to draw off the Spreading Seas. So, alright, opponent, no colorless mana, and another land. No attacks to be had, just pass quickly. Eldrazi Displacer is a really gross combo. they can start bouncing Restoration Angel or Thought-Knot Seer to control my draws. And yeah, things are just going really poorly for us right now. All right, it's getting in with the Restoration Angel. Not going to block. Drew another land. So during my draw step, okay, another Restoration Angel. Didn't even have to use the Eldrazi Displacer. So at this point, Kira is not going to be able to sort of really defend in the air that well. Okay, what is Thought-Knot Seer going to reveal here? This Spell Pierce is okay. We'll get the Spell Pierce. Go to my main, play the Mutavault. Again, no attacks. You know, that might have been a small window when they were so tapped out where I might have wanted to go nuts, but they had a Restoration Angel as a 3/4. I had just played the Mutavault, so it couldn't have attacked. So yeah, no attacks that turn. Okay, getting in with one Restoration Angel. At this point with Eldrazi Displacer, I mean, they have no colorless mana to activate Eldrazi Displacer, so the Spreading Seas play was actually pretty decent. But if I keep drawing lands, I can't do anything. And there is another land, so just play one and pass the turn to the opponent. Flicker Wisp is making things increasingly disgusting. I draw the Master of Waves when he flickers the Thought-Knot Seer, but when he comes back at the opponent's end step, he'll get to take that Master of Waves. Yeah. At this point, taking 6 from 2 flyers, I have no outs, really. All right, it's going to take my Master of Waves with the Thought-Knot, and I draw another land. So this game was looking really good for the first half dozen turns, but on turn 13, I had just flooded out way too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's exactly half of my lands. So yeah, we lost game 1. Look away if you don't want to see the match result. I'm going to click out of the window. All right, a very disappointing result in game 1, but flooding does happen sometimes. I'm going to be on the play, of course. And this is a keep. Master of Waves is a bomb in the matchup. Kira is a bomb in the matchup. We've got a nice curve of 2, 3, 4. Typically, the humans deck isn't going super aggro, so we should have time to draw into other blue lands and get something going. Okay. Oh, you know what? Let me pause for a second and show you guys my sideboarding strategy for this match. So took out the 4 Cursecatchers. They don't have a lot of non-creature spells. When they do cast them, they're going to have a lot of mana. If they do bring in Dusk to Dawn, it's 4 mana. They're probably going to be casting it on like turn 8 or something. Cursecatcher's just not doing a lot. It's just sort of a vanilla 1/1 Merfolk. And I took out the 2 Spell Pierces pretty much for the same reason. It's a creature deck, and there's just not enough targets for Spell Pierce. If they cast a Path, is a very good chance that they might have, a bunch of mana up. All right, so I took out the 4 Cursecatchers and 2 Spell Pierces. I brought in 2 Echoing Truth, 2 Dismembers, and it looks like I brought in 2 Ceremonious Rejections to try to hit some of their colorless spells. Okay, the opponent just plays the Plains and passes. They don't have an Aether Vial. They don't have a Thraben Inspector. Oh, well, there's an island. Pretty awesome to see that. I'm going to try to swing with Mutavault. If the opponent paths the Mutavault, I'll just get another blue land, which would be awesome for us. All right, Eldrazi Temple on turn 2 means maybe an early Eldrazi Displacer. That is, in fact, what it means. We'll get to take Aether Vial up, and now it's live. We're going to get to start ticking it up for all of these great creatures. I think I'm going to attack with Mutavault here. It's pretty transparent. The opponent blocks. We're going to Vial in a Lord. So we're going to Vial in a Lord anyway. The opponent's going down to 15 here. Pretty strong start on our side. Although the opponent has Thoughtseize mana here. Not Thoughtseize, Thought-Knot. And of course he has the Thought-Knot in hand. What's he going to take? Chose to take the Master of Waves. And this is the gross combo that I mentioned in game 1. He can pause me on my draw step for the rest of the game and sort of control what I draw. Fortunately for me, I have this Aether Vial on the board. It is a really excellent out to this particular kind of lock, because when they try to blink Thought-Knot, when they do blink Thought-Knot, it lets me draw a card. And then before the Other trigger resolves his enter the battlefield trigger, which lets him take a card. I can activate Aether Vial and bring in anything that I got to draw off him, potentially blanking or actually getting value off of the opponent bouncing Thought-Knot. So let's see. They took one of my Master of Waves. I'm gonna take Aether Vial up here, I think, because I'd really like to get this Kira on the board. Now I drew a Dismember, which is beautiful because I can break this little lock that they have, and get to draw a card off the Thought-Knot Seer. Another island is perfect. I can bring in Kira, activate Mutavault, try to get him for 3. Maybe the opponent wants to block now that he lost his Thought-Knot Seer. And then put in the island. The thought being here that there's no huge rush to run out this other Lord. Remember that we're trying to kind of play around Dusk to Dawn, though the opponent's running out all these big creatures, so it's not really a huge risk. Getting in for 3 in that spot, just about as good, I think, as playing out the Lord of Atlantis, because I do have the 2 blue, and can play him out next turn if that looks like it's the best play. Alright, so of course the opponent has another Thought-Knot Seer to go along with his Eldrazi Displacer. So he's probably going to take that other Master of Waves. Now this Aether Vial has gotten a little bit worse. I'm going to leave it on 3, since I haven't seen as many 3-drops as 4-drops at this point. I did not take out any of my Reejereys, so they're all still in the deck. If I get another Master of Waves, I can just cast it with my mana. Spreading Seas, decent. What would I target here? Probably their planes, I guess. And they could use the Ghost Quarter and then just go get another planes. But getting rid of the opponent's Ghost Quarters is always good, because otherwise we can't get access to Island Walk. So go ahead and target that thing. The opponent floats white and sacks the Ghost Quarter. So unfortunately not going to get to draw a card off Spreading Seas, but now the opponent no longer has access to Ghost Quarter. I'll go 2 attacks here, see if they want to use that mana before we change phases here. Alright, just attack with Kira. Opponent's down to 10. Pass the turn. Another Eldrazi Temple means a lot of activations from Eldrazi's place. So it means they have 7 mana, so they get 2 activations. What's going to happen here? Okay, no attacks. But we might start seeing that soft lock with the Thought-Knot Seer. Are they? Yeah, it looks like they're going for it during my upkeep. I guess they know that I... Oh, no. They're doing something else here, I guess. Targeting Kira with the Displacer. And then probably a follow-up path. All right. They do that in my upkeep so that I don't have access to the mana. Pretty intelligent. They have mana floating, so now, during my upkeep, they might have just as well done this all during my draw step, so that they get to see more cards. Oh, they're just gonna bounce my Lord. Not sure if this opponent is using his Displacer to its best. Another Aether Vial looks terrible, but it's actually pretty solid, as I mentioned, against this kind of soft lock. If I get this Aether Vial up to 2, then anything that I draw off the Thought-Knot Seer, I could potentially just put into play right away. But I took this opportunity to activate Mutavault and attack. If I can lower the opponent's life total, they're gonna not really be able to have decent attacks, which is probably great for us. If I didn't attack, they might have chosen to get in. And at this point, it seemed correct to attack with Mutavault. Now, the opponent played another Ghost Quarter. As I mentioned, it's difficult for us to establish Island Walk with Ghost Quarter on the table. What are they going to do during our upkeep and draw here? Keep Aether Vial on 3, and I drew a Reejerey, which is perfect. So if the opponent tries... Let's see. Actually decided not to do it. So then, what happens if they don't... go after us with Thought-Knot Seer? If we actually get to go to our main phase, we have priority, so we can just play the Reejerey. If we activated Aether Vial, of course, they could then blink the Thought-Knot Seer and take Reejerey out of our hand before we can put him into play. So I am gonna cast this guy, and then my guys are 4/4s now, so I could have attacked in. Why? This is interesting. I guess. Trying to remember why I didn't activate Mutavault like the previous turn and try to attack. I guess the opponent has a bunch of activations up with Eldrazi Displacer, so I'd rather them not be able to bounce my Mutavault. If I was going to attack with all those activations up, yeah, it still might have been correct actually to just get in for a big attack there. I think I might have missed an opportunity. So going for the Thought Knot, I drew an island. He gets to take the Aether Vial. So even though I said that Aether Vial was pretty valuable, I haven't played it out yet. So not going to get an opportunity now that the Thought Knot got rid of it. And then now this to me seems like a misplay. I guess he just wants to. He knows I just have an island in hand. So what does this gain him? If I draw a Dismember, of course I can respond and kill one of his creatures. If I draw a 3-drop, I can just put it into play with Aether Vial. He's controlled my hand to the point where I just have an island. He should just be bouncing my creatures to tap them down. And I drew a 3-drop, so this is terrible for the opponent. They don't have enough mana to activate Displacer again before I can get Reejerey on the table. Okay, it looks like they have another path, so I get to get another land. And yeah, probably should have gone for a big attack that turn. The opponent plays another Plains. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't attack last turn. Opponent again letting me go to my main phase. So I'm gonna cast the Silvergill. And you know what? What do you guys use to tap? What do you guys tap with Reejerey's ability here? For me, I thought that tapping the Ghost Quarter was a pretty good play because if I draw, if I draw Spreading Seas, I can't cast it right now because I just tapped all of my islands. But if the opponent wants to kill one of my Mutavaults right now, say he goes after the one in front, then I can use mana from the back to activate. Sorry, the mana from the front to activate the one in the back, and if he activates if he targets the one in the back, I can use mana from that one to activate the one in the front. So no matter what, if he's going to try to Ghost Quarter the Mutavault that I activate to attack with, he'd have to do. I don't know. It doesn't give him a good way to do it if I target it with Merrow Reejerey. So, and again, getting these things off the board is huge because if I do eventually draw a Spreading Seas, then I'm able to establish Island Walk and just win immediately. The opponent thought for quite a while when I targeted this thing. Eventually, they decided to go after the Mutavault. So I floated mana in response. Got an island, which now turns on Spreading Seas if I draw it. Drew an Aether Vial, and I can just very easily use that floating mana to just play the Aether Vial. As I mentioned, Aether Vial really not that bad in these kinds of spots. Now, I think I was really timid in this spot. If I activate Mutavault, it's a 5/5. I'm attacking with all these 4/4s. Of course, I get a little bit blown out if they have like a path. My guys become 3/3s. They can eat one with Thought Knots here, but the opponent is at 6. They have access to 8 mana, so it's still just 2 activations with Eldrazi Displacer. They can take 2 of my attackers out. They could block the Mutavault with the Thought Knot and block the Lord with the Displacer. When the Mutavault, is that good? It's a 5/5. If they do have a path, it gets terrible for us, I guess. We can get blown out. So I decided just to sort of sit back. I think no, maybe I just got in with Mutavault. I'm sorry that I'm misremembering what I'm doing exactly, but I got in with just a Mutavault. And I realized that it was pretty silly after I did it. It's actually, even though it looks like it shouldn't be very complicated, combat against this board state is really tricky because the opponent. I was a little surprised that I saw that they blocked the Displacer because that's the only creature that the Displacer can't bounce. They could have just thrown the Thought Knot Seer in front of Mutavault and then blinked the Thought Knot Seer, and then I wouldn't have gotten in for any damage. Or no, I'm being silly. They could, of course, just blink the Mutavault, and that would take him straight out of combat. So in order to get any damage in at all, you need to have more creatures than the opponent has Eldrazi Displacer activations. But since he blocked with Eldrazi Displacer, it meant he had something else up his sleeve. And as it turned out, he had a Restoration Angel, so things sort of heating up on the opponent's side. He gets to start attacking with Restoration Angel. Of course, I've got a huge board on my side. Flicker Wisp. The opponent is getting low on time. I saw that he was getting below 5 minutes, and we're still in game 2, which means that if I can win this game, I can just lean on his time, and he's absolutely not going to be able to win in less than 5 minutes next game. All right, so here's a Flicker Wisp. Opponent. What's going on with the Flicker Wisp? Gonna flicker the Restoration Angel, and then during the end step, this was a little bit silly. I saw that he was running out of time, and so I wanted to just waste a few extra seconds by activating my AEther Vial. But what's going to happen here, of course, is that Restoration Angel is going to come back. The opponent has been consistently blinking his Thought-Knot Seer for no gain. So, like with an empty hand, there's no reason to blink a Thought-Knot Seer. But the opponent did it, and if I drew a 3-drop, of course I could have put it into play with AEther Vial. So getting a little bit too clever for my own good there, trying to waste a little bit of the opponent's time. You can see he's under 4 minutes now. As it went, I drew an AEther Vial, so it wasn't a big deal there, tapping my AEther Vial, but I really shouldn't have done it. Leave that one on 3, put this one onto 1, and I drew a Spreading Seas. The opponent let me go to my main phase. I have no idea what this guy's doing. He could have paused during my draw step and activated the Eldrazi Displacer to take away my Spreading Seas. But he let me go to my main phase, so of course I'm just gonna slam Spreading Seas, draw a Mutavault, and it's time to get in with everybody. He can't do anything at this point. If he removes one of my Island Walk Lords with a Dismember or something, it hits his life total, and I still have Island Walk, so GG. The opponent with 3 minutes left. We were pretty passive in that game, but ultimately against these kinds of tricky taxes decks, sometimes that's the best thing to do. If they flash in a Restoration Angel, it can ruin your day. You have to think really carefully about potential Displacer activations. So it's 1-1. Look away for a second if you don't want to see the result. Okay. Back for game 3, the opponent is going to be on the play with only 3 minutes, and this is fine. It can slow them down, throw some creatures in front of their creatures, bounce whatever they play. The opponent kept 7, and at this point, I'm not F6ing at all. I'm just F2ing. The opponent under 3 minutes. I'm going to play an AEther Vial, pass through my steps pretty slowly. Now, this is a legitimate strategy in Magic Online. If you can't manage your clock, you don't deserve to win any given match. I've lost plenty of matches against like blue-white control. I've gotten much, much better managing my clock, though. You can see I have a 6.5 minute advantage on this guy. So here's a Thalia. She's going to slow down my Echoing Truth, I guess. But I still get to cast Silvergill and get Cursecatcher in with AEther Vial. And 2 damage isn't going to kill me anytime soon. Drew another Silvergill Adept, so I'm just going to keep drawing cards. I'll reveal Cursecatcher and just put him in right now. Okay, opponent is close to like 230 now. Their AEther Vial goes to 2. Note that they've already got a Ghost Quarter on the table, which means that they might be short on white mana. Arbiter. And I guess if he wants to win, he probably has to attack. Didn't play a land yet. Okay, which means that he's going to lean heavily on this AEther Vial, which means that this Echoing Truth might be awesome just to bounce these AEther Vials. I drew another Echoing Truth. That's pretty good if I'm trying to play a slow game. I'll put in another Silvergill Adept, draw another card. It's a Mutavault. Now, that's why you always want to bring Silvergill Adept in before playing your land drop, because Mutavault is so much better than just playing an island this turn. So I'm going to pay 3 through Thalia to bounce these AEther Vials. Does he have a response with his AEther Vial? Another Leon in Arbiter, which is fine. I've got plenty of lands if he wants to use that Ghost Quarter. And yeah, I'll just pass the turn. So this Echoing Truth, we have 2 targets with Leon and Arbiter. Opponent's getting close to 2 minutes. Okay, goes for Ghost Quarter on my Mutavault. So he's stuck with 1 land now. Doesn't seem too bright. You know, I think I decided to trade with one of these Leonin Arbiters. And if the point is just to slow the game down, keeping the opponent off of creatures seems decent. Of course, I did have the Echoing Truth to bounce multiple Arbiters, so it might not have been correct. Opponent, oh, you know what? He's trying to play out his Aether Vial again, but doesn't realize he can't do it through Thalia, so that was a huge bonehead play. He thought he could Ghost Quarter my Mutavault and then replay his Aether Vial, forgetting about his own Thalia. No Aether Vial for you, friend. And what do I draw? So I just keep drawing creatures. We'll play out a Silvergill, through a Mutavault, pretty awesome. Can't play out my Aether Vial. And I think, let's see, the opponent, what's he doing here? I think they might have just scooped at that point. The game isn't proceeding any further. Yeah, so I think they just let it go. Not going to win on 1 land. Really hasty using the Ghost Quarter there. Couldn't even get his Aether Vial back out on the board. Of course, I could have answered it with another Echoing Truth. And he's just not going to get enough action packed into minute 30. I mentioned in the first video that the first round, sometimes even the first 2 rounds in these friendly leagues especially, but sometimes also in the competitive leagues, you get paired against the inexperienced players just based on the sort of algorithm that the program uses for pairing. If you're like 3-0 or 4-0, you get paired against other 3-0s and 4-0s. But if you're just starting a league, you're going to get paired against other randoms, like other 0-0s, other 1-1s, other 2-2s, that kind of thing. So, yeah, you know, we won. Opponent misplayed a little bit, didn't manage their clock, but a win is a win, and you've got to play to your outs. In this case, I saw the opponent had like 3 minutes left, and it was going to be an easy match win. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think that it's cheesy trying to run out their clock? You know, honestly, I don't really care if you think it's cheesy or not, but I'm curious to know, you know, your guys' view on it. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave any thoughts, comments, suggestions, and check out my Patreon page if you haven't already. And I'll catch you guys in the next video for round 3. Thanks again, and yeah, I'll see you there. Bye.